Okay, so hello everybody. This is As Told by Ari, and I am Ariel or Ari, and I'm going to be doing my own recap of last night's halftime show. We're gonna get started by just prefacing this with I'm a spiritual person. I see everything differently. I see things maybe a little bit different than what you think or how you feel, and I see things in a double meaning, double entendres, things like that. So please keep that in mind when in the comments, because if you are not coming and approaching this with yes, I approach everything differently. So if you are not coming with a nuanced mindset, if you are not a deep thinker, then this is not going to be the video for you. I have taken some notes and I have my book here. So if you guys see me looking down or looking off to the side, I am autistic, so I do break eye contact too. So here we go. So first things I noticed with the show was, or one thing I want to say before I get started and dive in is Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini, okay? He is a Gemini, so when it comes to wordsmith, when it comes to lyrics, when it comes to just overall strategy, he does not fall short because of the fact that he takes time to kind of digest it. He is a different kind of Gemini. He is not overly emotional. He takes his time, and although his responses are quick, they are well thought out, okay? He is different from a Tupac. He is different from a Notorious B.I.G. when it comes to emotion, and he is very emotionally intelligent for him to be a young guy. Okay, let's just keep it a bug, because most guys aren't this emotionally intelligent, and most guys are not this expressive when it comes to their emotions. So let's just keep that a bug too. First things I noticed with the game was the symbolism. So you had the American flag in the beginning. You had the lamp post, like the street lights lamp post. Like it reminds you of like being an 80s or 90s kid. Like you got to come home when the street lights come on. And then the guys sitting on the corner with him doing like this doo-wop kind of thing in the background during his rapping. That just brought me back to like 1960s, 1970s, people standing out on the street corners. That is what it used to look like in our communities before drugs and gangs kind of flew in. It was like those doo-wops. Those were the guys on the corner. They were singing, they were shining shoes, they had entrepreneurships. Like it was a thriving community, and doo-wopping on the street corner was the rap battles of the modern times. So I noticed the X, the triangle, the circle, and the square, which to me symbolized game controllers. So you had the game controller symbolism, which brought me to, this is all a game. Being in the Matrix is a game. Being there, you're at a game, watching a game on the TV, and it's all a game, right? Okay, so stay with me. So you had all of the streetwear, you had the red, you had the blue, okay? Compton, California, LA, like we all know the history behind the street gangs and how it was just a real time, like back then in those days when he was obviously growing up. So that played a big part in the performance. And then like adding the white in there, to me the white symbolized like the alliance, the peace, you feel me? Like even though like we know that it was like for the red, white, and blue, but like to me it just hit a little bit different and just made it a little bit more of a symbolism versus it just being a coincidence that, you know, having red, white, and blue American flag. Oh yeah, we get it. To me, the white symbolized the peace between the two rival gangs back in the day. Like it was real. It was like growing up in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby. Like I remember seeing and hearing and witnessing those things actually happening, and it was a real time of conflict back then, and to see him like paying homage in a way that you didn't have to, it didn't have any bandana prints or anything. Like, it didn't need that. Like, we knew what that entailed. Like, we knew what that meant for that symbolism. And I felt that 110%. Now, he opened up the show by saying, or he opened up one of his performances by saying, the revolution will be televised. By revolution, he's talking about this new wave, this new world that we're now in, because like a lot of people were saying, oh, we're entering into the new earth, we're leveling up, it's going to be a split, in consciousness, people are going to be the best versions of themselves, and then there's people who are going to be stuck in their lower selves, and there's people who's just going to not rise to a higher consciousness. And the people who are rising to a higher consciousness all understand this. The people who are constantly saying, oh, this was boring, this was a weak performance, this is the worst halftime show ever, were those people who did not level up in consciousness. Because every person that I like that kind of had similar things to say about this, I feel like they are a little bit more of an elevated mind. They read a lot, or they're well educated to the point where it's not just having a degree. They're self-educated. They are a student of self, a student of mastery, in the school of self, and that's what I've been noticing. Okay, so he said the revolution will be televised as he starts to perform, and so I don't think a lot of people understand. He called Drake a PDF file, okay? A PDF file in front of millions, if not billions of people, because we don't know what they're streaming in other countries. We don't know who was on a VPN watching our, network television. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? For millions of Americans, that was a big deal. To call someone out on their egregious behavior in that way, this was the first time ever a diss track was played at the Super Bowl. It is the equivalent of if Tupac lived to perform at a Super Bowl halftime game. It is the equivalent of having Hit 'Em Up played at a halftime show. Calling out a person who you deem an enemy, calling that person out, saying how you truly feel about them in the way that they move. Not only is that a nod to the way the consciousness is moving, it is also holding the person accountable for these alleged acts. Okay. I think it's very important, because we always say that we want men to express themselves and we want them to speak up. And if you see something, say something. And as soon as a man does that, that's when y'all turn a blind eye and say, oh, you don't see anything. Oh, this is just, you're reaching. It is as if we are allergic or contrary to the truth on purpose. It's woeful ignorance. That's what it is. Plain and simple. You choose to be ignorant, thus staying ignorant. Right? And it's okay with a lot of people. Okay? So that's number one. Calling him a PDF file in front of millions of people, and it being a diss track played during the Super Bowl halftime. Okay. Samuel L. Jackson being Uncle Sam. A lot of people saw Uncle Sam. I saw record executives. I saw Samuel L. Jackson's presence in the performance being that of the middlemen, these record executives, these people who call these meetings and have these, they're on the phone saying, hey, you shouldn't say that. Publicists, people who kind of have their voices in the ears of the artist. That's what I saw Samuel L. Jackson representing. Okay, so yeah, that's what I like. Consciousness, his head, his ori, like, you know, if you're in African spirituality, or your ori, you know, like your higher self talking to you and connecting with you in that way. And he's like, and like during the part where he has the girls around him, he's like, are you really gonna do it? And it was like, he was like, should I? And then he kept like switching it to another song. And it was just all well played. It was just mwah, chef's kiss. Like, I know this is what the people want. I know this is what you are wanting, but I'm going to tease you a little bit. I'm going to, you know, edge you a little bit, if you will. So when he finally dropped the it was the mayhem, and it was just all up from there. We knew that it was going to be played. This is why people tuned in, and he delivered to the people that was meant to receive the performance. Now, what did you guys expect? Did you expect him to fly out with the freaking on a catamaran and have an HBCU band? Like, what did people actually expect? I expected performance art. Now, being that I have been a Kung Fu Kenny fan since, I want to say 2012, 2011, you know what I'm saying? Like around that time. Like I had to go back when I first discovered him, like in 2012, I had to go back and listen to his Black Hippie album when they were all a group, and fell more in love. Like I found him when I was listening to Mad City, when Mad City was like the anthem, and Broccoli, oh no, not Broccoli, sorry, Collard Greens, and then just, you know, discovering him in that way. And then the, you know, Pour Up, Drank, Swimming Pools came out, and then it was just like a snowball effect for me when it comes to his music. If you guys don't know anything about K. Dot, he is a visual person. He is a visionary. Like, performance art is what he does. So I expected performance art. I expected very much a lot of that, like, strong Black symbolism. We got all of that with the streetwear, with the American flags, you know, the formations, them holding up the fist. Like, this was all strong Black symbolism, and this is what we expected to see out of him. You got to remember, he made Be All Right during that BLM movement, when it was used as protest music. So we all expected him to have that strong Black symbolism, and he delivered. What did y'all expect? Did y'all expect Usher type of dancing and carrying on from a pro-Black activist? Make that make sense for the people who are saying that this was a boring performance. Like, it just wasn't for you, and that is okay. But for the ones that enjoyed it, and for the ones that wanted to hear Drake being called out at the freaking halftime show, he delivered. Period, point blank. And I want to say this. People need to understand that you cannot keep doing this heinous stuff, all of these allegations when it comes to these women, all of these allegations when it comes to children, all of these allegations when it comes to other men, how brutal you guys are to everyone. Like, these people need to be called out. And by people, I mean the males who are doing it, and the women who perpetuate it, and the women who don't say anything, and the women who come for other women for speaking up. And these are the people that don't like what's going on now. These are the people who do not like the performance. These are the people who will make fun of him for even going after Drake in the first place. I think it's bomb that he did it, because We always say how we want Black men to take our side and stand up for us. And this is coming from a person who is not pro-Black. I'm not in the pro-Black sphere. I am not in the pro-Black movement at all. And I have my reasons, and I can make a video on that, explaining that as well. I'm just not. This is coming from a person who sees right, wrong, and the in-between. To groom kids, to say that a 15-year-old is your best friend, to say that a 13-year-old is your homie and you have her number and they're texting you, that is weird. As a mother of a 13-year-old child, if a 25, 28-year-old man had my daughter's number, it would have been up. It would have never been a thing. It would have never, ever happened. So for us to sit there and say, oh, because it's Drake, we're just going to let it go, that is weird. You guys are the ones standing up for the weird uncles. You guys are the ones standing up for the weird cousins. And I don't trust you and would not trust you to babysit my cat, let alone care for a child. A lot of y'all need to be somewhere on somebody's registry. But in closing, we're just going to say the message was, if you will sit there and allow this man to do this stuff without being called out, you would allow it in your house. Period, point blank. Case closed. Case closed. Like, we will sit there and say how little girls are fast. We will sit there and say how this doesn't happen in our own families when we know that it does. And this song is not just for, the person it was intended for. It's for anyone who thinks it's okay to groom kids. This is for anyone that doesn't say something. You a weirdo too. And they not like us. Period. But this was for the culture. This is for, this was for the people who came before us, the people who lived and died and walked on the earth, the people who created the genre, the people who created the lane, the people who pioneered West Coast hip hop. This was for them. This was for all the people who was just there at the ground level when when New York hip hop was taking off and it was becoming a thing and they had their own lane. East Coast was like, man, we got our own style here too. And this was for all of that. Like this was definitely heavy West Coast music, and they should be very happy. They should be very proud. We're going to allow them their moment to have just a decade to relish in this moment. First of all, let's give a freaking nod to the fact that this man is the only Pulitzer Prize winning rapper. Let that sink in, okay? Let that sink in. He deserves all of his flowers. He deserves all of the accolades because he fucking deserved it, first of all. Not because he was the most popular, okay? Drake is more popular, and we know that. This wasn't about popularity. And we have this is what I'm saying. We have these conversations of like DEI versus not having DEI. Like, this man did it without needing DEI. This is why I don't understand why people are so like up in arms about DEI, because you can get into the doors without it off of your own scholarship alone. You can prevail. I'm not saying the DEI is not important, but in my opinion, DEI protects mediocre people. DEI protects the mediocre people that it was meant to protect. And by that, I don't mean the Black scholars who are going after certain scholarships and merit awards and things like that. I'm talking about the mediocre white people who are afraid of the smart black kids. That's what I'm saying. And in this conversation, that is Drake. That is Drake. Drake was brought up in a suburban Caucasian neighborhood, the only beige person. So he knows exactly how to do that juxtaposition of, oh, when I'm with my brown friends, I'm going to act this way. And when I'm with my Caucasian friends at my bat mitzvah, I'm going to act this way. That's what I'm saying. It was never a competition for that. It was never a popularity contest. It was about who got rhymes, who got fire, who got penmanship. And K-Dot proved that. But this is just, for the awards recap. I'm getting off topic, sorry. But in closing, it was a good show, in my opinion. He deserved all of what he got. And for the people who are saying that it should have been Lil Wayne, grow up. Just because the Super Bowl took place in a city where you're from does not mean that you get to be the performer. When the Super Bowl was at the Rose Bowl, or it was like in LA at one point, you did not see Kendrick Lamar I'm gonna be the performer. Although Snoop Dogg performed, but he also performed with 50 Cent and Eminem. So it wasn't just him alone. So miss me with that. Like, come on. We needed to see that. We needed to hear that song being played at the Super Bowl. Period, point blank. But that's my video for the day. And if you guys like this video, just give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I post next time. And if you like reading and you want to read some of my material, I'm also on Substack, where I let my author juices flow and I write recipes and all kinds of stuff. So follow me on Substack. I'm going to leave it linked right here, and come back and see me again. Bye. Peace out.